Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. Joining me once again is my co-host and Tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, what's good, man? How are you, dude?
I'm doing, man, a little tired because I ran a 10K today, but ready to preview the final.
Yeah, man, let's get into that. It's going to be a good final, one that not a lot of us expected, honestly.
Yeah.
I think we expected Mexico to be in it, but we didn't expect Panama. Good for Panama. They've played a great tournament so far. But before we preview it, man, let's do a quick PSA. This is the last episode before the summary of the final, or reaction to the final. And then that reaction to the final video, we will be announcing the winner of the 250 subscriber giveaway. So remember, that giveaway is we're giving away a jersey, Mexico or USA, your choice, winner's choice. So to participate, make sure you subscribed and go to the 250 subscriber video we posted about a week and a half ago. It's going to be linked in the description below. Make sure you comment on that video who your favorite player is, past or present, for USMNT or Mexico, and which jersey, if you're lucky enough to win, would you prefer, Mexico or USA. We will be ending the contest after the match, after the final, Panama versus Mexico, when we start recording our reactions video. In that video, we will announce the winner. So still have 2 days. Today's Friday when we're recording this video. So yeah, Sunday is the match. So make sure you guys join the giveaway before. But all right, man, enough talk there. Let's get into the why we're here, reaction or preview Mexico Panama. Like we said, Mexico, one of the favorites early on, one of the teams that did take this tournament seriously. I don't know if that was as much as their decision as, or were they really just put into that position based off of their performance in the Nations League, that they had to win this cup and had to take it seriously. So, it's a team that, has a lot of their strong players, most of their A team, I'd say, and one that, desperately is in need of, winning a major trophy. Yeah. And, can be their ninth record ninth trophy. So ninth gold cup. That will take them 2 ahead of the United States. That's currently on 7. And the only other winner is Canada with 1. So if Panama wins this, it would be their first gold cup. And Panama, one of the, we on our preview Gold Cup episode, we mentioned Jamaica as our dark horse, and turned out to be, they played well in the group stage, played decent in the quarters, but then they just got spanked in the semifinals and wasn't able to give Mexico a run for their money there. We thought Jamaica would be the biggest opposition for Mexico, but that turned out not to be the case. And instead, Panama turned out to be the real dark horse, has been playing amazing football, for their standards in this tournament. And Mexico, Panama. As we start previewing this, man, what lineup do you think Mexico will go into this match?
That's a really good question, man. Against Jamaica, we were expecting a regular 4-1-4-1 formation. Like that seems to be Jimmy's favorite formation, or a variation of that specific lineup. We were all surprised when he practically played a 4-4-2, which helped him a lot to counter Jamaica's quick ball game style. This time around, I think he will stick, or he'll go back to his basis of a combination of a 4-2-3-1 lineup. So I anticipate maybe like a 4-1-4-1 again, or as I said, some variation in the midfield with a 4-2-3-1 kind of thing, where he has one sole striker, 4 midfielders, and 4 defenders. And that's my anticipation. I don't really see any big changes, specifically talking about the defense. I think the defense has shown strong resilience on the second round matches in the quarterfinals, and specifically against Jamaica. It wouldn't be wise from Jimmy to make any changes on the center back lineup. And at this point in time, I know that Jorge Sanchez was a big question mark throughout the tournament, but I think the last match proved that he is perhaps the best ranked right back that Mexico has right now. And Jesus Gallardo refuses to quit or to release that left back position to Gerardo Arteaga. Not that Gerardo Arteaga has done anything to deserve it, but Yeah. As far as the attacking midfield and the strikers, I think Luis Chavez, Orbelín Pineda, Aurel Antuna, and Henry Martin will remain on the lineup. The 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 only question that I have is, will, you know, Jimmy continue to play Luis Romo and, essentially leave Edson Alvarez on the bench and play again Eric Sanchez? Or will Jimmy remove either Luis Romo or Eric Sanchez and play El Machin? We all know that El Machin didn't start last match because due to a potential injury, but he jumped on the match on the 72nd minute. So I wonder, that's one of the big question marks, doubts that Jimmy might have for this specific match.
Yeah, it turned out that he didn't miss El Machin. Obviously, El Machin's maybe one of the, it's obviously one of the stars of Mexico, one of the more talented players Mexico has, and he's a boss in the midfield there. But as we did in our, reactions video to Jamaica, Mexico, we noticed that playing Romo there and Eric Sanchez up top will, just give him other options, right? Options that he doesn't have to solely rely always on El Machin there in the midfield. So will he go back to his playing El Machin? We'll find out, but definitely that's probably the biggest question mark. I agree with you. On the other side, we have Panama, who they normally tend to play a 3-4-3, and they heavily rely on possession-based football. Right? We saw it all throughout the tournament.
Yeah.
Always above 60% possession, including the match against the United States. They dominated possession in that match, and we're unlucky to win it in regulation. This is their most, I think, arguably their best team they've had. Players playing all over CONCACAF, a couple in Europe, but a lot of players playing in MLS, Costa Rica, just
Looks
in
like
general.
they have a bunch in Venezuela.
In Venezuela as well, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's a team that, well trained, well compacted, been playing great, and it's a team that can push for one of the spots for the World Cup 2026. Or do they have enough to beat Mexico this time? I don't know. Question for you: how has eltri historically stacked up against Panama? I obviously eltri being for the longest time the kings of CONCACAF. They obviously have a lead there, but has that lead narrowed in the past couple years?
So if we do if we do a big jump in history, right, and we look at the last 20 matches, Mexico clearly dominates Panama with 13 victories, 5 draws, and 2 victories for Panama. But if you look at the last 5 matches, you can see that it hasn't been always a walk in the park for Mexico, with the exception of the an international friendly they had back in 2021, where Mexico won 3-0. But if you look at, the I believe it was a 2018 World Cup classification match against Panama. In 2016 they tied 0-0. On 2017 for again another classification World Cup match, Mexico won by 1-0. On 2021, it was another classification match for 2022. They tied 1-1. And then the last classification match for Qatar 2022, Mexico won 1-0. So you can see that Panama on the last 5, maybe 5 or 6 years has somewhat, closed the gap in terms of how many goals they get against Mexico. They still only have 2 draws out of 5 matches. So we'll see if this time around, after all these years, they are able to, upset Mexico in a big stage like the Gold Cup.
Yeah, definitely not the results that Jamaica has gotten from Mexico in the past 5 or 6 years, but they have, like you said, they've reduced the amount of goals they received,
Yes.
and we'll see if this is their time. Some players to watch that I want to highlight for Panama. Starting with the midfield duo of Godoy and Carrasquilla, who dominated USA's midfield, completely dominated possession, were great at distributing. Carrasquilla asking questions of Matt Turner early on in that match. Israel Diaz was didn't score against the United States, but before that he had 4 goals in 2 games. Dangerous players that if Mexico, wants to win, they definitely have to, dominate that area and prevent these guys from kind of controlling and having that possession. It's going to be interesting because two teams that like to dominate possession, right? Mexico is not known for letting the other team have the ball and them watching and waiting and absorbing attacks. Mexico likes to control the pace of the game and likes to, dictate what's going on, as does Panama. Who do you think is the key player or players or positions for Mexico that that they have to be on their game in order to win this match?
I think it's going to be a heavily fought match in the midfield. I think Luis Romo, the combination of the three midfielders, whether if it's Luis Romo with Edson Alvarez and who's the other one, Luis Chavez, or Eric Sanchez, Luis Romo, and Luis Chavez, they have to be on point on that match in terms of trying to recover the ball whenever Mexico loses the ball in an offensive transition, or trying to make that quick break whenever Mexico is trying to do a counterattack. We all know that Jimmylozano likes to be on the offensive pretty much the entire match. So these three guys need to be essentially, completely, fully aware of their surrounding. Because even though Panama likes to play a possession game, they also enjoy and have the capability to do high pressure at the same time. So every single time Panama loses the ball, they all quickly move to regain control of it. So I think it's going to be very key to see how these three players link up and they're able to create the chances or make the movements to either the wings, so Aurelien Pineda and Aurel Antuna can take advantage of their speed, and at the same time see if they can, make or gain any specific space whenever Henry Martin fights for the ball and allows them to, become the playmakers on the midfield. But I think those three will be the key in this specific match. I wouldn't necessarily say that any of the defenders will be specifically key, just because even though Panama is a very well trained team and they essentially move as a great unit, they all understand really what's the idea of the game style that Christiansen is putting with on the pitch. If there's one thing that we can criticize about Panama is their lack of a striking muscle or striker muscle. And that's one of the things that I would like to criticize about Panama. They don't really have a very a strong striker, a go-to striker that can really put in trouble or make Cesar Montes and Johan Vasquez feel trouble whenever they're moving forward.
Yeah, they definitely lacked that, at least against the bigger teams, right? I mean, we
Mhm.
saw them destroy Qatar and we saw them dominate their group. But, against the USA, had they had a stronger striker, they probably would have won it 2-3,
Yeah.
2-1, 3-1 in regulation. Um, Kind of getting ahead of ourselves here, thinking a little bit past the final. Do you think, the question that's on everybody's mind, do you think if Mexico wins, would Jimmy Lozano stay as head coach?
Oof. That is a really good question. I don't know if you saw, but today the latest or the most recent FMF president, Ibar Cisniega, I think that's his name. He released a announcement that no one requested or asked for, essentially saying that femexfut or Doña Fede, how we like to call it, hasn't spent any time or discussing who is gonna take who's gonna take the reins of eltri after the Gold Cup. He does mention that Jimmy Lozano will be part of the list or in contention for that specific role, but he was very ambiguous to make a decision whether or not he's gonna stay. He said that they're still looking for a specific profile that they want to bring that aligns with the goals and needs of El Tri, not only for 2026, but beyond 2026. So it looks like he's trying to hint that it's going to be like a potentially not only a 3 year kind of commitment board, but looking at the next World Cup after 2026. Um, I've also read from different outlets where it looks like the players want Jimmy Lozano to stay, and they are arguing for Jimmy Lozano to be, to remain as eltri's head coach. So there's a lot of chatter and talk about the only thing that we for sure know is that Jimmy Lozano's time at eltri is, pretty much up in the air. Uh, According to Doña Fede and, its president, whether he wins the match or whether he loses the match, it's not going to change their mind in terms of whether Jimmy Lozano needs to remain as a head coach or not.
Interesting. Okay, so I mean, it can't hurt, right? If he wins it, I mean, it can't hurt. So
Yeah,
we'll see what
exactly.
happens. I mean, if the players want him, I think that has a lot of weight to it. So
Hmm.
we'll see what happens. So that match, Mexico Panama, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Um, it's going to be played at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
Going to be an exciting one. Going to be a good one. We'll see what happens there for sure. Adriana, as we wrap up this episode, man, remind our listeners where they can find us, please.
Sure, they can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Puro Pinche Gol. We post stuff every now and then.
Yes, sir. And again, PSA, last chance to get into the giveaway for the Mexico or USA jersey. Click the link in the description to go to that video, 250 subscriber giveaway. Comment which jersey you'd like, USA or Mexico, in that video, and also comment in that video who your favorite USMNT or Mexico past or present player is, as well as being subscribed. You have to be subscribed in order to have a chance to win the jersey. We will announce the winner at the final reactions, post-match reactions video we publish on Monday after the game. So, Adrian, man, it's going to be a good one on Sunday. Let's see how it goes for Mexico and lamborjimmy there. We'll be watching. It's been another good one with you, brother.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Likewise. See you next time.
See ya.